what I was saying right there.
Good afternoon. I'm just trying to get everybody's attention to gather everybody in right now. Well, welcome. That's what it says in the program. Welcome. I believe that's all I'm going to say. Not at all. Boy, what a wonderful day. What a great organized layout. Bonnie, where's you run off to now, Bonnie? Bonnie Pinkston and group. I know Bonnie. I'm going to make you name all the names. I'm not going to try to get into that. But there are so many people to thank within the Pinkston family for this wonderful program, for the tent, for the setup, the PA, the music, all of this as we go through this very special dedication today. My name is Jimmy Ogle. I'm the Shelby County historian and also a member of the Shelby County Historical Commission. And we just had a wonderful time working on the text for this marker, getting the location out here, and apparently everybody found the directions and everything to get here. It's not an easy place to find. And then getting it set in the ground. And here we are today in November. You can't ask for a better weather day. It's dry under this tent and just a group of wonderful people here. The Shelby County Historical Commission has been around for 52 years now. It was formed in 1964. And we're here to preserve and protect and highlight the history of Shelby County, which is also Memphis, Tennessee. By the way, that's in Shelby County as well. You know, there's 7 municipalities, so there's history of all kinds. There's no city in America that tells a story of American history, good or bad, better than Memphis, Tennessee. There's about 460 good years of history here, starting back in 1541 when DeSoto came through. That's 99 years or 79 years before the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock. You know, people are out here in Memphis here. And you go through the early Native Americans and European explorers and the 20th century entrepreneurs and Civil War and civil rights and music and medicine and sports and transportation and distribution. All these things our community have done. I say I got 40 hours in my head to talk about it, and this is my talk today. But I just wanted to tell you how important Memphis history is, Shelby County history is, and the role of the Shelby County Historical Commission to cover all of our history in a balanced fashion and get it out there. And we've been real successful the last few years in a variety of marker dedications, such as this one for Dr. Pinkston. But our most recent marker dedication was the Levitt Shell over in Park Shell in its 80th anniversary. Before that, John R. Cash in the Tennessee 2. You might know him as Johnny Cash, but when he first sang a gospel concert down at Galloway Church in Midtown there. And last October, just a year ago, we did the Memphis 13 at Bruce, Roselle, Gordon, and Springdale Elementary Schools. The first 13, we called them pint-sized pioneers, first graders at desegregated Memphis City Schools back in 1961. The Memphis State 8, Poplar Tunes, Lansky Brothers, Zip and Pippin, a Wacom, R.S. Lewis and Sons Funeral Home on Van Street. What a great family that is. So we enjoy getting involved in all these topics. Our Markers Committee is second to none. The chairman of it is Jim Cole. He can't be here today. He's at a funeral. But I want to recognize, before I say welcome one more time, the members of the Shelby County Historical Commission that are here. Laura Todd is our chairman. Laura, just wave at us back there. Only the second female chairman in the history of the Shelby County Historical Commission, by the way. First being Miss Ellen Davis Rogers. Our vice chairman here is here today, Sylvester Lewis. Where does Sylvester sit? Right, stand up, Sylvester, please. Everybody knows Sylvester Lewis, I believe. Believe it or not, he just got email this year too. So, and he knows. And number 2, he knows how to use it. Late bloomer, yeah. He was born in Civil District number 8, right? Or Civil District number 9? Number 9. He was born in this area and knows more about Grace Creek in this area than anybody I know of. And a wonderful vice chairman and participant on our Markers Committee as well. John Mcnairy is here, our former treasurer, John. We've done a lot of work with cemeteries and taken us from about 100 cemeteries on our list to about 300 the last few years. John, where are you standing or sitting or waving? Okay, John, thank you, John. Mike Freeman's on the Markers Committee. Mike over here. Braden Swisher, Kevin Quinn, and nobody knows Mark Stansberry. He's in disguise with that cap and sunglasses on. He takes that cap off. Everybody knows Mark Stansberry from our Shelby County Historical Commission. So we have a good representation here today, and we're very happy to be here. I'd also like to recognize Ed Frank, who's the chairman of the West Tennessee Historical Society as well. He's here from that organization. They meet on Monday nights once a month, basically, and have history topics. What's the next one going to be? Tim Huebner from Rose College.
Union and Liberty.
Union and Liberty. Tim Huebner, professor at Rose College. Also from Tennessee Historical Commission, Ron Walters here somewhere. Let's find Ron. We got a Tennessee Historical Commission, long-time historian, as we might say. And I'm so happy to see Fred Davis walk in today too. I hadn't seen him since Park Commission days, really, and glad to have him. So just a wide variety of people here from our community. Some of this probably wouldn't be possible today, and I'm going to go offline here just for a second, but without the energy and passion that one lady has, I know, I just want to mention her here because she's a good friend of mine sometimes. That's Darlene Sawyer. Where is Darlene? Darlene, I want you to stand up there. You know, Darlene is with the Cordova Community Center, got it running. The book, the Cordova Images of America book, right? And of course, Farm, Flowers, and Fellowship, right? And that's the right order. Another book. And she Forgotten Days, right? And so very passionate about this area. And I think the one that really prodded Bonnie maybe to get going on this marker here for Dr. Pinkston. So you've seen these faces and these names are good people from our community, care about our history, preserving it, and you'll hear more about us in 2017. We've got a lot of exciting projects coming up. So welcome here. About to spend 1 minute or less. Okay. So now it's time for the remarks. Howard Rip Pinkston, grandson.
Good afternoon, everybody. All I can say is just wow. With all the people coming in from out of town, all the family haven't seen in a few years, this has turned into a family reunion as well as a long overdue, I think, dedication to and appreciation for Greene Fort. So thank you all for coming. When Bonnie asked me to say a few words about the farm, I said, okay. My remembrance of the farm is probably a little different from everybody else's remembrance of the farm. She said, let's start with your dad and say, hey, what do you think Dad was? So, well, all I can tell you is farming was Dad's passion. It had to be his passion. Who else gets up before light, go out in the heat, fight the bugs, fight the weeds, fight everything, the machines, the mules, everything, and then, do it and get up and do it all over again. So it had to be his passion. And he really worked hard to preserve the name and preserve just the credentials and heritage of the farm. Then I said, well, maybe I should say a little bit of something about what the farm meant to me. Well, the farm meant to me is, it was an attitude adjustment. So, when you got a little bit too big for your britches, or as my grandpa would say, start smelling yourself, you would get 30 days on a farm. And it was an attitude adjustment. So, you get up before dawn, you come out, and you do everything. You fix the tractors, you would haul hay bales, you did everything. There's some things with calves we won't go into, but I'm still traumatized over that. But I did learn a lot of things from the farm. I mean, I learned how to fix just about everything. I learned how to fix cars, plumbing, tractors, you name it, I learned how to fix it. So it was a very good experience. A couple other things, I learned how to drive up and down that little road on a tractor. Started with a tractor. Ended up in a bean truck, but I started with a tractor. So you get a lot of experience working on a farm. A lot of on-the-job training. But what it really taught you was responsibility, hard work, and you were too tired to talk back when you got home. So you just made it, got home, got through dinner, and said, oh my God, I got to do all over again tomorrow. So that's what it meant to me. I would like to recognize and say, give some appreciation to all the Pinkston children. Sarah, Bernice, Garland, Annette, wait. I was going in order. Garland, Mary, Will, Ben, Annette, Dad, Howard, Pauline, and Charles. So, you get your So, the thing I wanted to recognize them for is just providing the inspiration and this is how you do it. This is what you do. This is what the Pinkston name means something, and you got to live up to that. So it definitely would teach us what is right, what is wrong, what to do, and what not to do. And so I think it's time to do some appreciation and thank yous. First, I'd like to thank Carmen. I'd like to thank Carmen for all her hard work. Put this all together, and it just, well, it's amazing. You know me, I'm more of a practical kind of person. It's like I have my doubts. No, you pull it up. You do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. Thank you.
Something for And last but not least, the master planner, Bonnie. This is the master planner. So I have to give you a little background on this. About a year ago, Bonnie says, hey, I got this idea. We're going to go and we're going to get a market put in for Greene Fort. And I'm like, okay. Well, I'm going to do this. Okay. And she went and got it done. She went out, she got all the contacts, she did all the homework, got all the historical information. She got it done. So thank you very much, Bonnie. We really appreciate it. That's my 2 cents. So thank you everyone for coming, and we really appreciate it. A little special thanks for the cooperation of the Saloni family over the years. Leonard Saloni was the dad's farm buddy. I mean, those guys were out here battling it together. They lend each other equipment. They jump in and pitch in and help each other for when times got tough, and if you didn't have something, they would help each other. And for David's been kind of farming the land, kind of keeping it, so it doesn't get all vacant and crazy. And so he's been keeping it. He's responsible for help cleaning up, making it look as nice as it did today. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Earl Miller.
Bonnie told me last night I'd be speaking today. We had a difficult night and put together some remarks. From time to time on American highways and roadways, we drive past historical markers such as the one that will now commemorate the life of Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston, who I am very fortunate to have known personally as Grandpa. This occasion instructs how much time and effort lies behind each such marker. Also, for obvious reasons, how sturdy, near immovable such markers are. My thought passing such a marker is always, I ought to stop. Something important happened here. But then it's usually too late. This marker is not so much about what happened here as who happened here. I hope, in addition to this fine program, you will also get hold of one of these, which gives a more personal introduction to Greene Fort Pinkston. Greene Fort's significance cannot be understood or appreciated without grasping the context of Cordova and the American South in the 100 years following the Civil War. A cousin said to me yesterday evening, he, Greene Fort, used to scare me. To have been Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston in his time, in this place, no matter his imposing mind and physique, was to have sometimes been scared. Our recently concluded election reminds us that divisions continue in America. This commemoration reminds us that much progress has been made. Greene Fort Pinkston, his life and achievements were exemplary for any man, but they were extraordinary for a man of color in this place and his time. He was not an unimportant building block in the progress. I was fortunate as a boy, firstborn of Greene Fort's daughter Pauline, whom he called Doll Baby, because he liked to bestow nicknames, to have known nothing but indulgent, loving interaction and frequent good humor. As when my grandfather let me fire his 20, or maybe it was a 16 gauge shotgun, and it knocked me down. However, there was evidence of the effect of a difficult struggle. I asked my mother whether Greene Fort ever physically punished the children. Now, I gather there might have been an exception for one of the sons, but basically no. I'm told the look sufficed to rein in a wayward antic by a child, perhaps a worker, maybe sometimes a wife. Penella, Greene Fort's wife, was 15 years her husband's junior. As evidenced by the 4 of Greene Fort's children who are here today, 4 out of a total of 9, whose average age is 93, if you hope to outlive a Pinkston, it's best that you be 10 years or more younger. Now, I'm a Miller. By the way, the junior, not the third, but I hope where longevity is concerned, I'm a Pinkston. I'm advised by my mother, whom I now refer to as the source, that on occasion, farm animals got far more than the look. And and no one dared interfere. The look meant you have strayed from the correct path, you have disappointed, you know better. I hope as we go our separate ways to our separate lives, each with its not insignificant challenge, we might pose as a lodestar the man depicted on the cover of today's program and on the marker we will commemorate. Such an intelligent, caring, handsome visage. And ask ourselves, is there anything of my behavior and thinking or that of others that might warrant the look from Greene Fort Pinkston? And if so, you would do well, we would do well to correct that behavior and that thinking. So, those are my remarks.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hey, Garland, get a ball of it.
Well, good morning. It's a joy to be here, really. And we all gathered here today to celebrate. Oh, I'm sorry. I will project those. Everybody here? We all gathered here today to recognize and celebrate the man who started this branch of the Pinkston family. And there are many branches of that, but this branch in particular, Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston. I want to add my appreciation to Bonnie and Carmen because I threatened yesterday to call Bonnie up to speak. She likes to be behind the scenes. But really, this was a great thing that you've done, to pull this together and to bring the family together like that. It is a source of pride, so thank you very much. The Greene Fort Pinkston branch of the family tree is big. It's a big branch, 9 children, 25 grandchildren. 25 grandchildren and about 20 great-grandchildren. And it is a strong branch. I will say that Earl talked about what my grandfather had to deal with in order to live here. But one of the greatest sources of pride for me is to be able to say to people, my grandfather graduated from Mcnairy Medical School in 1909. That says something. You don't need to say anything else. That everybody understands how hard that was and what it took for him to do that. So it is a strong branch of the family. And we are a close, well-educated, high-achieving, and self-reliant family. That's who we are. And these qualities are qualities he instilled in his children, and then they passed on to us, and we're doing our best to pass on our children. It's a challenge, as you know. Now, I grew up in Washington, D.C. My father from here, he went to World War II. He came back to D.C. after the war and stayed there, met my mother at Howard University and stayed there. I'm born and raised in Washington, great place to grow up. But I came here a lot over the years. I mean, my father made sure, part of this closeness in the family, that I got down here. I'm down here 6 or 8 times between the time I would say 7 and 16. So I come in and spend a couple of weeks in the summertime. Now, coming to Memphis and the farm exposed me to things I would have never experienced in Washington. There are the sights and the sounds and the smells in farm. It's different. Driving the tractor that Rip mentioned. Learning to shoot a rifle and shotgun that Earl talks about. Fishing with a bamboo pole in the fishing hole. He had a fishing hole out here. So we had a bamboo fishing pole. So drop the line in there. And seeing the life of sharecroppers. I had no idea. You know, so they lived in a place like that. Sharecroppers, my grandfather had a couple of families, and they would live, this is the sharecropper down home. I'd never seen that. And also, seeing, but not experiencing, the segregation of the South. Because by staying out here, and when we went into Memphis, there were 2 movie theaters black folks could go to. We went to those. I didn't know about the other movie theaters. Then later on in life, I remember the theaters were, once things got desegregated, it was still 50 cents cheaper to sit in the balcony. They're trying to encourage us to go upstairs. I never understood that because I always liked the balcony. But The other thing was the carnival. You know, back then, they didn't have theme parks. So your carnivals would move around. They'd move and stay someplace a month or 6 weeks. And I remember walking, this is a vivid memory, walking by a sign that said Tuesday night colored only. Now that's kind of stuff I didn't see in Washington. And what there was segregation, I guess, in some places in my early years, but parents could navigate around it. So I'm not really ever faced with it. But to see, and I never ran into any hostility, I don't suggest that, but just to see the evidence, the indication of the segregation here in the South. So these were experiences. No way I'm going to get these up in Washington. And I also say with pride, I pick cotton. Because he has some cotton on the farm. And I've told this in remarks, I'm a lawyer, and I just retired, and I said, oh, I used to pick cotton for about 30 minutes. It was hot out there. I'm down here in August now. I'm dragging that burlap bag around and get my fingers all pricked, and I said, but I can now say I pick cotton. So I'm proud to be a leaf on the branch of this family tree, which was started by my grandfather, Greene Fort Pinkston. And I am proud of this recognition being bestowed upon him by this plaque and ceremony. And I want to thank Bonnie and Carmen, as I mentioned, but also the Shelby County Historical Commission, because this is the entity that approved this. So I want to thank them and thank all of you all for coming.
Thank you.
Don't forget up there.
Oh my. All right, let me get the mic. Well, I think if you just bend it over for it, that would be better. Oh.
You're right on, Mom.
Yeah, let go. Well, I guess after following all of the gentlemen, they decided they'd better have a female up here.
What a woman you are.
I guess my first thing is, as a family, we've always wondered, why did our father buy a farm? And I don't think any of us have ever found the answer. But he did buy the farm. And as a result, we all became a part of it. And the one thing that I really want to say is that at that time, the schools here went up to 8th grade. And there were a lot of us. And as we finished the schooling, I went up to 3rd grade here. And before that, my sisters and brothers were living in Memphis in order to take advantage of the Memphis city schools, where there was no segregation other than the blacks in one area and we in the other. I'm a graduate of Booker T. Washington High School. And I graduated in the year 1941. And you know the Second World War began that fall. So my college years at Lemoyne and at Wilberforce were spent without hardly any males on the campus. But anyway, when I think back on my father and my mother, I've often wondered why they thought education was so important that in order for us to be educated, we would have to be separated as a family during the school year. In other words, we would be in Memphis 9 months of the year going to school and 3 months at home to work on the farm. And my classmates used to ask me, where did you go in the summer? And I said, well, I went home. Where's home? I thought home was here. And I said, no, it was in Cordova. and then we reunited again. So I started at Porter Street School, and then went on from there to Washington, and from there to Lemoyne, and from there to Wilberforce. And I have to say, I don't know. I just really don't know how they did it, and what sacrifices they went through in order for us to achieve what we did. But I've often thought, I was telling my sister the other night, I said, we could have been anything in Memphis. I mean, there were no telephones, and when we would go to Memphis, they didn't know what we were doing. Why didn't we act up? Why didn't we act up? And I think it was out of respect for them, knowing their expectations of us, that we would not do anything to embarrass them in any way. And I'm thankful for that, and I've tried to teach my own children that you have to be able to go out into the world and carry on the values that my mother and father instilled. And one of them is I always felt that no matter his education as a doctor or whatever, he always showed respect for the workers and for the family. And that is what I have tried to carry on. Respect everyone, no matter what his position in life is, whether he's the sweeper on the street, or the garbage collector, or what. He's a person, and he deserves all of our respect. And so I leave this with you. I don't know why he bought the farm.
I didn't know I was going to speak. I was born Mcnairy. I'm not.
John Garrison.
There's a theme going here. Let folks know.
I was born 92 years ago in Reno here. Besides the Pinkston family, I think I know all of them better than you do. They were my closest neighbor and my best friends. I live about a mile to the bushes that way. I knew Dr. Pinkston. He was the greatest doctor back 60 years. He was everybody's doctor, no matter whether you had a toothache or your stomach ache. Well, I don't have no prepared speech, so I'm the youngest person here. I guess I better speak. So the State Department told me, keep your mouth shut. The least you say is the easiest thing, so I try to do that. Anyway, the Pinkstons are honest, hard-working, Christian people. I know them better than you know. And I was in the Navy in World War II. I helped build this battleship on the 50th Sea. That was in 22 of the bloodiest invasions of World War II. And I work with Darlene here, and she's going to write the greatest book ever written, entitled Memphis Pete.
What? What?
Memphis Pete.
Okay.
We call everybody something.
Okay.
And I think, Mr. Ogle here, I think this is the greatest tribute you could make to Dr. Pinkston. And I thank you.
Hi there, I'm Darlene Sawyer. And I hope my ears were kind of stopped up. I've been fighting the cold this week, so I hope I'm loud enough so you can understand me. I'm surprised that the children have not told you about the things that they had to do on the farm. Like feeding the chickens, milking the cows, slopping the hogs, churning the butter, washing the clothes in old big black pots. This was before electricity. I don't know why Dr. Pinkston came to the farm, but I know he bought it was over 200 acres, about 250. He had a thriving practice in Memphis before coming here. He married Penella Bertha Horn, I think in 1915. They had 7 children, and Dr. Pinkston delivered all of those except for one, and that was Charles, the baby. In 1927, Dr. Pinkston left the farm, took the family on a train to go to Dallas, Texas. He had a brother, Dr. Lee Pinkston, in Dallas, and they went in business together. And I don't know how long that lasted, but I don't think but just maybe a year or two, and he came back to the farm. While he was gone, I believe it was a sister and maybe a brother-in-law that took care of the farm. I want to tell you, Leno Road, this is called Leno, not Lenow, like you'll hear the news people say. That's almost like getting your fingernails and scratching on the chalkboard when you hear Lenow. No, it's Leno. But I'm going to read my notes. I don't want to leave anything out here. Dr. Pinkston had 9 children, and I think he was married before, and when his wife died, 1913, for some reason, that's when he came to Cordova. Dr. Pinkston treated mostly the colored neighbors out here, but he treated the whites also that were on the neighboring farms that were friends. And I know that he was good friends of the Shelby family, and Mr. Leonard, I see you back there, and Mr. Leonard's family, they were the first Italians, farmers in Cordova. And they are still farming here today. But you look around at all the subdivisions, and they're still farming. His son David is on Pinkston property. Dr. Pinkston did not have a clinic. I understand he just had a little building with a stretcher bed in there. But back then, the doctors did everything, from pulling teeth to treating diseases and ailments to delivering babies, making their own medicine. They did everything. We didn't have telephones, so they didn't make appointments. It was just all time of the day or night. You would just go. And most of the time it was Dr. Pinkston. Dr. Pinkston. So he did not have time to be a full-time doctor and a farmer. So he had field hands, and he had about 3 or 4 houses He lived across the street over there. And that's where the field hands lived also, if I understand correctly. They were sharecroppers, and so they got their housing, they got a little salary, but they were also paid with chickens and pigs and things like that. Well, the children also helped with the farm, so they had to do all these chores. And one of those things too was to get the water from the cistern, go out there and take water to all the field hands. It's a lot of work being on a farm, but Dr. Pinkston loved it. He had been here about 50 years, and when he was 87 years old, the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, purchased his property through eminent domain. Dr. Pinkston did not want to sell his property. He felt that one day it would be worth a lot more money, which is true. He paid $52 an acre when he came out here. And eminent domain, I think he got about $500 an acre. And that was a lot for his investment. But he still felt like the farm would be worth much more than that. And later it was. We're talking about $10,000 an acre. Well, Dr. Pinkston tried to get TVA to buy the Swan property, which is right up there. Even the Barbaro property. And there were some that wanted to sell their property. But if you look around, you know why TVA liked the property across there, because it's so flat. It's easy to build and maintain the towers here. It's probably why Dr. Pinkston liked the land too, the lay of the land for farming. But that's what TVA liked about it too. The TVA told him that he had to be packed up and moved by January of 1964. Dr. Pinkston died December 3rd, 1963. Less than a month before he had to be packed up and moved out. I checked on his death certificate, and he died of a heart attack. He had heart disease, he had hardening of the arteries, but I tell you, Dr. Pinkston died of a broken heart. And the family's always felt through the years that that's probably the stress of having to move after he had been here for 50 years. At his age of 87, that was a contributing factor. So the story of Dr. Pinkston is bittersweet. It came at a great cost to him and the Pinkston family. But look what we gained for the community with electricity coming in. It benefited everybody. You don't know, probably some of you, what it's like to go to an outhouse in the middle of the night with a flashlight. And you're worried about what's out there. Some people do, yeah. And you may not know what it's like to wash clothes in that old big black pot without the electricity. Or when they talk about an ice box, it really was an ice box instead of a refrigerator. So we have benefited everybody greatly, but it came at a great price for the Pinkstons. And we are here today to say that we appreciate you. We appreciate all the things that Dr. Pinkston did for the Leno and Cordova community. And we love you, and thank you for letting me interview you and put Dr. Pinkston's story in 2 books for Cordova. They are at Shelby Farms Gift Shop, both books. So Dr. Pinkston's story has been well documented. Thank you.
President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the TVA Act on May 18, 1933, his goal was to improve the quality of life for all people in the Tennessee Valley. This region was full of hardships at that time. The Tennessee was a non-navigable river which flooded annually with much damage to life and property. This part of the country lagged behind in almost every indicator: schools, jobs, and health care, to name a few. Land was marked by decades of mistreatment from poor resource stewardship. Per capita annual income was only $168, about 45% of the national average. And as we've heard already, rural areas were not electrified. TVA, along with local communities throughout the valley, went to work to solve these problems. And those efforts often required the acquisition of land to build dams and reservoirs, along with locks and substations such as the one across Leno Road. TVA provided flood control, navigation, and affordable electricity throughout the Tennessee Valley region. TVA was able to recruit industries and provide jobs for Valley individuals, and the quality of life improved. These achievements were not without personal cost and sacrifice by more than 15,000 families throughout the Tennessee Valley. Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston played an important role in improving the lives of the people of this region, and here to share a few personal remarks regarding Dr. Pinkston is fellow TVA Director Ron Walter.
Thank you, Lynn. Personal sacrifice for the benefit of others is one of the most salient characteristics of a natural aristocrat. And personal sacrifice is what Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston made when he sold acres of his farm to the Tennessee Valley Authority so that TVA could extend electrical services to hundreds of thousands of Memphis and Mid-South residents. The light we take for granted in our homes, the power we use to provide us with comfort, air conditioning, heat, and refrigeration, as well as to click our computers and turn on our television sets to watch WREG News Channel 3, are some of the many results of the sacrifice. As Director of the Tennessee Valley Authority, a Shelby County citizen, and President and General Manager of WREG News Channel 3, I appreciate and celebrate the life of Dr. Pinkston. Thanks to the Pinkston family, the Shelby County Historical Commission, Jimmy Ogle, and all of you for having the wisdom to approve and to erect this deserving mark.
We've heard many wonderful comments about the life of Dr. Pinkston, and because of such sacrifices, TVA is able today to continue our mission to improve lives, to serve people, and to make life better. Therefore, on behalf of the Tennessee Valley Authority, it is our honor to present to the Pinkston family this plaque to recognize the contributions of Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston and his personal sacrifices to serve the people of the Tennessee Valley. Thank you so very much for allowing us to be with you this afternoon.
Dr. Gerald, I believe that was News Channel 3 on your side.
Watch us tonight.
Pinkston family,
Friends, good evening, good afternoon. I am honored and humbled to be here on this program for, it says, presentations. Bonnie, I'm like you. I'm just a worker. Now, when Bonnie called me and said, listen, we need some help, and we'd like for Mcnairy to know what's going on. Dr. Dowell and I immediately sent word to Mcnairy Medical College and the Alumni Association. And we've been asking, who's coming? They have to have a program together. And unfortunately, we just found out this week that our message that we sent did not get to the right people. Since I didn't know, I beat the bushes. And I talked to Dr. Henry Moses, and that's will be rectified in the next issue of the Mcnairyan. The family will be featured, and you will get some personal letters. However, I want to make one little correction here before I get started. It says here, President of the Bluff City Medical Society. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not the president, but I do want to introduce the president, Dr. Lynetta Anderson. She's here. I am the president of the Shelby County Mcnairy Medical Association, and when I came back to Memphis to practice, Dr. Pinkston's influence, along with the Reeds and the Randolphs and the Buddy Dancy, those people, that spirit that Mcnairy has surrounded me when I came here. I came back to Memphis in 1972 to practice. Now, this is not about me, this is about the Pinkston family, but I'm here because Dr. Moses said, Bill Terrell, you're going to represent Mcnairy. But what I'm going to do right now is say, I see some of my classmates out here. I see some of the people I was in school with. I'd like for every Mcnairyan to stand. We have Mcnairyans here. I said stand. And of course, Charles. Thank you. This is a letter from the Mcnairy Alumni Association, Inc. It's addressed to the Pinkston family and specifically to Charles F. Pinkston, DDS class of 57, dated November the 8th. Dear Pinkstons, on behalf of Mcnairy Medical College and the Mcnairy National Alumni Association, Inc., please accept our fondest congratulations on the honor of the placement of a historical marker from the Shelby County Historical Commission on the land which is part and parcel of the Pinkston family farm on which the TVA facility is now located. Mcnairy Medical College is extremely proud of the strong ties it has with the Pinkston family, which spans over a century. We regret all three individuals of the Office of the Alumni Affairs have made commitments to be present at other events this day, this Saturday, and therefore will not be able to send a representative to this historical event. We have asked, however, the president of the Greater Memphis Alumni Chapter, William Terrell, class of 72, to attend. Our warmest and most sincere congratulations. All the best to you. Sincerely yours, Henry A. Moses, PhD, Executive Director, Professor Emeritus, Biochemistry, Mcnairy Medical College. You know, it's not easy getting old.
Right out of me. I'm honored to be here today to talk and congratulate all of the ones who took place in making this affair what it is. Especially my daughters, Bonnie and Carmen and Toya. Now, I was sitting on the sideline just letting them run the show. They did a good job. The thing that I've heard here by different ones today reminds me of a lot of what went on this farm. But three things that I believe that was most important in my father's life was education, family, and medicine. Those three things were the most important part of his life. He didn't like to be singled out as done something especially good. He wasn't that looking for a lot of acclimates, you know. He was just wanting to do what he thought was best for his family, his communities, and his farm. It always puzzled me is how was he able to do such a good job as a farmer. He came from Meridian, Mississippi, and grew up on a farm, but that wasn't enough to teach him to do some of the things that he did out here when it became necessary to improvise. Anyway, I want to compliment him mostly about that than anything. He did this community, not only Cordova, but Mount Pisgah, Germantown, East Tennessee, Fisherville, and he had patients also in Memphis. And he was still a member of the Medical Society in Memphis, and he participated a whole lot with them in their medical practice. So it's a very, very, very unusual individual that we honor here today. And I'm a product of that, and I hope that I can represent something as to what he was trying to do. Anyway, the program has lasted a long time, and I think everybody's ready for the champagne.
Well done. Well done. There is going to be a champagne toast. But before we do the champagne toast, this is kind of the awkward part of the lay of the land here. Our marker's up there where you drove in. So we're going to adjourn up to unveil the marker and come back to the tent for the champagne toast and the reception following, okay? So let's make our way up the road here.
Mom, you gotta look this way.
Look that way, I want to look here.
Let's go. Here we go. Got it?
That is a lot.
It's the same text on both sides. But Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston, who practiced medicine for more than 58 years in the Cordova area, was born in Scott County, Mississippi in 1875. His parents were Whitten and Fanny Gresham Pinkston. At age 24, he left home to attend Mcnairy Medical School in Nashville, graduating in 1904. He began his medical practice in 1905 in Memphis, and with Dr. A.D. Bias in 1908 started North Memphis Drug Company, one of the earliest black-owned drug companies. By 1915, he had purchased 258 acres of land in Cordova and moved into a home with his wife, Canella Horn Pinkston, on Leno Road. Dr. Pinkston was among the earliest black doctors to practice medicine in rural Shelby County. Because of his education and large farm, he was known in the community as the gentleman farmer. Quote. He treated patients not only in Cordova, but also Memphis and surrounding rural communities. Shortly before his death in 1963, the Tennessee Valley Authority acquired all but 78 acres of Dr. Pinkston's land by eminent domain. The remaining parcel was left to his son, Howard Pinkston, and has stayed in the family for more than 100 years. The most important place by the family and friends of Dr. Greene Fort Pinkston. That's all of y'all and all of us here. Thank y'all for coming today. Come up and take pictures here. If you need pictures.
Look this way, folks.